Hello and welcome to Dale's Gaming, and I am in the From the Depths designer, and this is another video in the Epic Build series where we are looking at the Pre-dreadnought ship, which is in the background there, and I would advise going and looking at the completed build, beginning at least of the completed build video, because it shows the style and theme of the ship that I'm building and the end combat results. This is a more real-time look at building components, and in this episode we are looking primarily at the primary steam engine, how I built and why I built it, and the control, and the AI systems within the ship. So if you want to skip to a particular part, there is time codes in the description below. Now, although it may seem a bit silly, I actually do want to start thinking about where other components. You can see that this two turrets have already used quite a bit of space of the ship, really, considering how much else I want to fit into this ship. So I actually want to think of where, say, the engines are going to be, and AI and other bits. Now, this will have a steam engine, I'm thinking at this moment, and I want to sort of replicate some of what was the triple expansion. Now, I can't do triple expansion, but I'm thinking I could do a double. So we're going to have a go at that with a little bit of a unusual steam engine design. Now, I don't need much power here for this ship, I don't think. We generally are just going to have, I might put a couple of shields in, we'll see about that, to protect areas more on the inside as anything, but we're not to be heavily shielded. But yeah, we'll just have a quick little look at a steam engine. Now, I'm thinking to replicate some of the triple expansion. So the way I'm going to do that is by putting a double engine system in here, which sounds a bit silly, but hey, it's fun. You know me, I like to do something which is a little bit different. So if I put a large gearbox in here, let's make sure it's facing the right way. There we go. And then I don't think we need electricity. So if I put a crank in there and there, and then we're going to try for some 4-meter piston. There and there. So 2 4-meter pistons. Just there. And then to go with it, although it's not 100%, we'll add in a small gearbox facing the opposite direction. I'll need a couple of blocks. Again, crankshaft. Use a reversed and a couple of 2-meter pistons. Let's see how this, and let's just put some piping in here. We'll have the boilers up the front here, I think, going to these. Let's see if we can drive them from one boiler. We'll just put a basic small boiler in here just for the moment, just for testing purposes. Now this is just for aesthetics reasons. There's no particular reason why you should do this. I'm just doing this just because it is in keeping with the type of ship I'm building. No other reason really. I'll need some resources just to power the steam engine. Let's just give it a few resources up in here. So they are contra rotating, but that's not a big problem. It's 103 and that gives me 220. So the four ways are, these are more efficient basically, but they're quite a big size. I quite like that. Let's rework the steam now. So what I might try on this is some large boilers. So now 6 boilers. I should, yeah, these could just be put obviously lengthwise, but I quite like this. I'm just playing really, which is half the fun of this game, with some design concepts basically. So let's see there. And we'll need a 3-way here actually. Let's put some pipes in. And it's going to have to go, we'll put a corner pipe in here then. And we'll move this all over one. Let's see how that. Whoa, that's gonna be getting a bit speedy. So we got a maximum pressure of about 500 or so. What are these set for at the moment? Let's just see what maximum pressure does. We could always add some more of these in. So the way, okay, here's the other bit that I tend to do is controlling the steam engines. Control blocks. So the way I tend to do it is on power fraction. So if the power fraction is under a certain level, which means that the reserve power we're wanting more than, there's only 10% on the bar on the right hand side, then the boilers set to 1. Now what that means is that bar on the right hand side, where at the moment it says 4,300, because you can see these have actually given out a significant amount of power for these 6 boilers. So 6 boilers is quite a bit of steam. That's giving out 1,300, and that's giving out 2,000, nearly 3,000. Cool. Way more than I need. So if the boilers, if power fraction is larger than say 60% free, then the boilers, set them down to a very low 0.1 for the moment. You might want a little bit of a delay on there, which we'll add with 5. So now these are slowing down. We've got nothing to use power at the moment, so we can't see it go the other way. But basically on this one you have it go the opposite direction. So if it goes down, we'll try and make something start using power in a minute. What could we put in? So I've put in a little shield which is now using a bit of power, causing a bit of power. So you'll see the boiler will now go up. It revved up, started doing 3,000, pushed it up to 3,000. Now it's coming down on the bar on the right hand side, because that was far too much. You know, that was giving it excessive power effectively. But once it gets to the, so that means that that's now going down to the that particular burn rate, and once it goes down far enough, we can see it sped up. Now I'm just going to check something here, because one thing you've got to work out is what percentage of it is working. So you can see it's coming down now again. Right, so 100%, so 156. So once it starts, oops, it's revving up again. No, we're still coming down. Once it, it's gone below 100, so there's very little spare. Okay, and then it will speed up again. Now what you got to set is get this burn rate as an example at a rate which is just providing enough power to keep it above the 10%, and that will be your cruising speed or cruising amount of power. And then once you go into battle, you'll need this to set higher to obviously produce the power for your battle version, you know. So and it will keep on just moving between those two, but it's worth setting the lower level at a rate which is suitable, shall we say. So it most of the time it will be at this. So I've set 0.1, and that's still producing 1500 power between the two engines, which is reasonable. Anyway, that's steam engines. I like that. I will need to encase it a little bit. So just to protect it. Now, the bit we need to protect the boilers, obviously, and this is the most, maybe the important bit. I'm going to set that about 500, I think. Let's see. So I have created a little sort of citadel as such for the steam unit. It's chugging away there at the moment quite happily. Possibly actually still using a little too much steam. I think we'll take that down to there for the moment, because we've got nothing actually using any power. So I think just having it on 1% is fine. So one thing I like to do in all of my ships, and this is just a personal thing, but there is also some reasoning behind it, is I like to make the ship as much as possible walk through, so have doors that lead into the areas. Reasoning behind this is A, aesthetically I think it looks better. B, when you've got repair bots, if they can't find a route and they use doors to an area, it takes longer to repair because they then have to wait for their timeout value. So if you're using a repair system, which this will need, it's better to have the bots able to get to all the places in the ship to repair it. Yes, I can put some bots in the repair area, but if in the steam area as an example, but let's say the steam area's got damaged, there's a good chance the bots that were in there have got damaged, so it needs bots from a different part of the ship to come there to repair it. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, next, AI. Now, where's my bridge going to be? Am I going to be in a lot of the other ships? I've basically stationed myself near the rear. My bridge has been at the back, looking forward rather than more classically near the front. So I think I'll continue that vein. Actually, I think now one thing is we could sort of put it above the steam room. So let's just have a think how that will work. Now it will mean that there's a lot of high, for want of a better word, high value targets in this area, which is a bad thing obviously, but I think that's okay. Now this the ship might need more than one AI, so we'll put this as the primary AI and the bridge area maybe a little bit behind it. This will be the navigation AI, and if we need to create an AI for the secondary weapons, so for going up against some, say, smaller, faster targets, etc., we'll do that separately. Now I'm expecting quite a bit of needing a fair few words are leaving me today. Fair few detectors. We're going to need a transmitter, and also I'd like to put it into vehicle so this can provide and or transmit to other systems and other AIs. Now what I can do is the other AI I can put just I don't have to give it separate sensors, because it can use the main sensors and just take the data from this system. So that does actually save you. Right, I'm going to put 2 card slots in here, I think, and the rest will effectively be processing cards. I think fairly common card system here. I think we'll just have naval, target prioritization, and then an aim point here. I don't think we will, could put a patrol card in there, but I don't think it's needed anymore. We don't need balancing, sailing. I might put a sail on this, so I will put a sailing card in there as well, just to be on the safe side. I can't remember. We'll set this up later. I'm not going to set it up now. I think that's a bit big. Do this differently. I'm going to take that one away. I'm using wood. Whoops. I need to continue using wood. As I say, I'm using wood because if in the future you get something which uses EM weapons, then it acts as a natural barrier to the EM. Now we'll go up with from here. Yeah, we'll have a. No, we're wanting metal now. Now we're gonna give it a bit of armor. So this armor is it's metal, so it gives it the full armor class, but it's not high value. We're not using blocks So you could just use blocks everywhere, don't get me wrong. A lot of people do. I think it is a waste of resources. If you can be more frugal with your resources where possible, I think that's a good thing, basically. Right, put that there, so that's 3, and now we can put the 3 slopes. No, now I know I did metal. Keep on selecting the wrong thing. Also, slopes will bounce shells. I don't know how much angling actually truly affects it, but it seems to. Now the top, I think it will be the start of the bridge above us, so that's going to still go up quite a bit more. I'm going to put a beam here as support and just some final bit of downslopes just as a final bit of armour. One thing I haven't done on this one is put a door in. Where should we go? Where should we go for the door on this? I'll wait until I do the bridge, because the bridge might put a door down from here. We'll see how that. Or I might put it into here. Let's could put it in there actually. Yeah, let's put it in there, and maybe have this come down from the bridge at the back of the bridge. Maybe we'll see. So it looks a little weird, I've got to say, at this moment, but once it's enclosed in, you won't notice this quite so much. Now that the ship is primarily complete, we can look at the AI settings. So there was a couple of changes. I took out the sailing block, sailing card, because we don't have any sails, and added the secondary gun mainframe at the end, which is just a simple mainframe. It's not got any navigation parts, it's just got a prioritization and the intra-vehicle and transmitter, so it can transmit to the guns. First bit to look at is the naval AI. So the main guns on this vessel R sector have a 3000 maximum range, which is, you know, accuracy wise would be okay. So and the secondaries, they're about 2500. So I've set the main broadside to be 2400, which seems like a good idea, that the main guns can fire that a little bit further away, but we want to get into secondary gun range. And if it does start heading towards the 3000 limit, we want to head back into our target. So that's they're the first two settings and why I have set those. The 85 degrees, it's very right angle on. The reason it's 85, I could put that 90, but 85 will slightly keep us going towards the target, but generally try and keep the range. If you go with a more standard 75 or 80, the range will keep on closing, and you know, you'll soon be in your close in range. I want to keep that range as long as possible away, but make sure that I am at least heading towards them if they're heading away, for instance. Broadside minimum. I haven't set too high a minimum, because really if they get close, so be it. I want to just stay at that broadside and keep pounding them even if they get close, so I'm not worried about a minimum. If you've got a ship which is very low armour, which this isn't, then you might want to set this up, say, about 1500, 1600. So it stays away. But there is dangers in that if your ship is slow. If your ship is slow, all that could end up is you end up showing your rear end to a faster ship and you just get blasted from the back. So be careful with minimum ranges. I've found they're good if you've got a fast ship or faster than the enemy, but they can be, you know, detrimental if your ship is slower. Idle approach, I don't normally have that. I set that well away because I do get problems with ships colliding with each other. I try to keep them away, but never mind. Computer AIs. Turning circle, this hasn't got a great turning circle, so I put it at maximum just to be safe. And also depth requirement. Again, the game is AI is not great at not running aground. Excuse me. You know, I've had it loads of times. They end up going up on sandbars, sandbanks, so I like to give it as much depth as possible. And disabling the reverse, just aesthetically, I like the reverse to be a proper reverse and not sorry, don't have a reverse. Also in combat, I found at times it will start to come backwards instead of doing a turn and going forwards and using its full speed to get away. It will just edge back. Now, it can be advantageous if you look at ships like the paddle gun and paddle gunners, etc. It can work, but I don't like it, so I tend to disable it. Okay, other settings here is the target prioritization for the main guns. So what I did was set it all to 0 because a lot of the basic settings I don't like, because I like to change things. So just going through here quickly. The priority is block size. The main guns will aim at, and this is also the secondary guns as well. So this is the main, the primary guns and the secondaries, large guns. They will prioritize big ships. Range is an issue, but not much. So big ships with weapons, with an active AI, but mainly it's the block size will be the counter. And just a couple of minuses, obviously if you've got two ships, the closest one, and also it doesn't like fast targets. If something's overly quick, it will go for the slower one as a preference. And the same with altitude. Altitude's a big minus, so it would it's not that big a minus, it is a minus, so it will prioritize sea targets over air targets. And then finally we'll have a look at the secondary. So the only really setting on the secondary is the target prioritization. So it's, in some ways, it's a bit of a reverse of the primary. So the blocks is actually on a minus, so it's going to prefer small targets. Something with AIs or multiple AIs will be beneficial. Range, again, range is a big minus, so it's going to go for the closest target as a priority. And reverse again is speed is a positive. It's going to go for the fastest target. So it's going to prefer fast, close range, small targets over large, slow targets, effectively. So that means it should target the flyers and small ships over the large ships, which will be concentrated on by the main guns. And that's basically the AI. So they use the other part is they use an intra-vehicle transmitters, so the detection systems from one can be used by the other, which is, you know, doing double duty effectively. So I think that's of a great benefit. So the secondaries do have some detection systems, mainly for targeting, for end targeting, but the primary detection is generally done by the primary weapons here. So it means you don't need as much here. You just need enough, just say, for some targeters, some trackers, I think is the right word for them. So just going out here, as an example, we have, this is a a visual tracker for the AAA, whereas these are detectors for the main guns. And same here, this is a tracking for the main guns. We've got some the munition detection is handled by the secondary weapons in general. So that's the basic that is the basic AI setup in the final ship.